Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for always coming back to my channel, and I'm so glad to have you here. And today I'm going to bring you yet another story of how I got my first job after college. And apart from just knowing how I got my first job, I'm also going to share with you some tips of how to prepare yourself for the job market, and also you're going to learn how to stand out from everyone else in the job market. And therefore guys, you want to stick around because it's gonna be an interesting story and you're also going to get information. And I'm requesting you guys to also invite everyone who is in college, university, and also fresh graduates, so that they can also be able to learn from this story, from my story of how I got my first job and how I prepared myself when I was still in college for the job market, and even how I went about looking for a job and how I ended up getting one right after college. Without further ado, let's get right into the story. So guys, I'm going to first of all explain to you or take you through how I was preparing myself for the job market when I was still in college, so that now I can take you through all the way to how I ended up getting my first job. So when I was in college, I used to hear people everywhere, whether in the media or even in gatherings or even in the day-to-day interactions with other people. I would hear them saying that in Kenya there are no jobs, how people are completing colleges and universities and then they get to tarmac for years without getting jobs. And even they would go ahead to give examples of graduates who have graduated and they haven't gotten any jobs. And in fact, I could also see people who had completed college or universities and they had no jobs. But on the other side, I also had seen people who had completed college and universities and they got jobs. So I was not about to quit my college. And also the other group of people, I would hear them talking about how there are no jobs and how it is not necessary to even take a course in college or university, are the people who didn't make it to the college or to the university. You know, they were just being like the rabbit. If you remember that story of a rabbit which was not able to reach to the ripe fruits on the tree, the rabbit said that the fruits are not even ripe. And also some people are like that. When they don't make it to do certain things in life, they end up criticizing them and saying they are not even necessary, they are not important. And some people say that it is not important any longer to go to college or to go to university in Kenya, because after all you will finish and you will not get a job. And so they say that it's better to just start a business or do something else instead of wasting time and money to do a course. So because of hearing a lot of those things everywhere, I somehow became anxious and I would ask myself, what if it happens to me? What if I finish college and with my CPA? As you already know, if you have been on this channel, I took accounting, specifically CPA. That's the course I did. And so I was thinking when I was in college, what if I finish this course and then I don't get a job? What will happen to me? Will I also be the same? An example of how I'm tarmacking, how I don't have a job. And so I started thinking, what can I do to be different? What can I do so that I don't end up the same way? So I came up with this strategy of looking for an attachment to at least equip myself with an experience. Something to note is that for CPA, and I believe for all CASNEP courses, they did not require us to go for attachment. It was not like for diplomas and degrees the way you have to go for an attachment and it is compulsory. For CASNEP courses, including CPA, which I was doing, we were not being required to go for an attachment. It was not compulsory. So by deciding that I will go for an attachment, it was just my own strategy to make sure that I equip myself with experience, because I knew that if I finish college and my CV doesn't show that I have any experience, someone else who have experience will have better chances to get a job. So that is the first thing I thought of doing to prepare myself for the job market, that despite us not being required to get an attachment, I will go ahead and get one so that I can get experience. So what I did is I asked around from people who had experience looking for attachments, because the hostel I was living at, we had people from different universities and different colleges. So I approached some of them and asked them how they go about it when they are looking for attachment. And I was told that you just do an application letter and then drop it to different offices applying for attachment, and that way I will be called for an attachment. So that is what I did. I remember I wrote my application letters. I actually didn't even have them typed in the cyber or printed. I just did handwritten letters, and I did for different organizations, for government institutions, for banks, for circles, and any other institution I would think of. I wrote the letters on different foolscaps. I bought envelopes, I put my letters, and I went to drop my letters. So I went to all those institutions, the banks, the government institutions, and the circles. So that means I went for some number of days to take my letters, because of course I wouldn't be able to take them all in one day. So the same week, by the favor of God, I got a call from one of the government institutions branch manager. He called me and he asked me, "Are you Grace Kogi?" I said yes. "Did you apply for an attachment in our organization?" I said yes. He asked me, "Are you still interested?" And I said yes. So he told me, "Report on Monday, this date, and to start your attachment." And I was so happy, guys, because this was an amazing opportunity for me to get to learn what happens in the corporate world and to get an experience. And so I was very happy, and it didn't take long for me to get that call. It was just within the same week. So the day I was told to report for to start my attachment, it was like 1 week away. So I had time to organize myself. And remember, all this time, I haven't told my parents that I'm looking for an attachment or what are my plans, because I knew if I tell them, they are going to tell me I will not be able to balance work and also studies, and they might tell me to wait until I finish college to look for an attachment, now that it was not a requirement. So I decided, because I don't want them to tell me that, I'm going to do it first, and once I get the attachment and organize myself how I'm going to start it and still do the studies, I will tell them then. So what I did within that 1 week which I had to prepare myself, I first of all went to my college director. Remember, I was still a full-time student, so I had lessons throughout the day. And now I have gotten an attachment, which is a good thing for me. So I had now to talk to the college director, who was also my lecturer, and told him that I have gotten an attachment and I want to shift from being a full-time student to being a part-time student. He was like, "How did you even get that attachment in that government institution?" Because most of the times you have to know someone in a government organization to get especially a job, but now this one was an attachment. So I told him that I just took an application letter and I was called for an attachment. So he was grateful and happy for me. So he told me it's okay, I can join the part-time classes. And so I knew that that one I have sorted out, that now I will be going for part-time classes. And I was really believing in myself that I can do it. I can do the work. Now they are training the attachments, and I can also do my studies, because I used to see people who are working coming for part-time lessons in our college, and most of them were dads and moms, and I was like, if they are able to manage working during the day, coming for studies after work, and also taking care of their families, then I can also do it. So I believed in myself that I will make it. And that time I was doing CPA section 2. I had just completed ATC 2, and therefore I was exempted CPA section 1. So I had just joined CPA section 2, and it was actually at the beginning of the semester. It was mid-January, and I was supposed to start my attachment at the beginning of February. So something else that I needed to sort out also is where to stay, because the hostel I was living in was distant from town. And yes, it was not far. It was somewhere we were just walking from the hostel to the college, and from town to the hostel. It was not far, but I didn't find it very safe, that route, especially at night, because the part-time classes were from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. So definitely it was going to be dark when I'm going to the hostel, and I didn't find the route to be so safe because there were no even security lights. So I had to look for somewhere to stay within the town so that it can be safe for me when going to the hostel from my part-time lessons. So I knew of a classmate who was living in a hostel which was located in the CBD. So I asked her if I can also get a room in the hostel. So she told me, actually, yes, I can get. And so we went with her to their hostel, and I actually got a place to stay. So I also knew that that one too is sorted out. The only thing remaining is now to move from the hostel I was at to that new hostel. So that's what I did. I went and organized how I'm going to move, and I actually moved. And remember, to this point, I had not told my parents that I am moving from the hostel I was at. I had not even told them that I looked for an attachment and I will be going for part-time lessons. And so they were not aware. So after I moved from that hostel I was at to now this other one which was in the CBD, after some time I received a call from my dad, and he told me that he have been told by the management of the hostel I was at that I have moved, and they don't know where I have gone to. So I told him, yes, I moved to another hostel which is in town, because I will now be going to part-time lessons, and I don't find the route to that other hostel safe, because I got an attachment which I will be going to during the day, and so that is why I moved. And he was like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you ask me before you did that? And I told him I was still to tell you, and he was quite furious because I did not tell him before. And so I talked to him. I told him I moved with good intentions. Eventually, he got to terms with it after understanding why I moved and where I moved to. And he later on came to visit me and see where where I actually moved to, because at that stage you never know what can happen. Someone can create a story and tell you that I moved because of this reason, and then you find that maybe she's living with a boyfriend somewhere or got married. So he got contentment after coming and visiting me and seeing where I moved to. So after sorting the hostel issue, now I was set to start my attachment, and I was just waiting for the day now, and the day came, which was on a Monday, and I reported for work, and we were 5 trainees from different colleges and universities, and we underwent the training for 2 months. That specific organization only allowed attachment for 2 months only, but I didn't have a problem with that. I was so happy because even if it is just 2 months, at least my CV will be different from someone else's CV who has never gone for an attachment anywhere and who have no experience at all. So I went through the training for the 2 months and it was very successful, and I was still attending my part-time lessons, and so things were going well. And if you can remember from my previous story of how I attended a scam job interview, I had said that I had applied for that job when I was somewhere for an attachment. If you can remember, that is the attachment I was talking about, and that is how I ended up getting the attachment and now applying for that job, because I was like, now that I have managed to do attachment during the day and studies in the evening, if I get a job also, it will be a good thing for me because I will be working and also doing my studies. That was my plan because I was loving that life of working and also doing studies. But unfortunately, as I said in my previous story, it ended up backfiring. I did not get that job. And when my attachment was over, since I had not gotten any other job, I went back to being a full-time student to now complete my CPA. And guess what, guys? That's the end of part 1 of this story. And if you'd like the part 2 of the story to come very fast, motivate me by giving this video a like down below, and also feel free to comment and tell me that you'd love to hear the part 2 of the story of how now I got my first job after completing my CPAs. And stay tuned for the part 2 of the story, and the juicy part is yet to come, and also the tips that I told you that I'm going to share with you, they will be in the part 2 of this story, so you don't want to miss that. Remember to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you will be notified when I upload my next video. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that you are liking it and you have enjoyed the part 1 of my story, and see you there. I love you all. Shalom, shalom, shalom.